I bloody loved it, folks. I loved it. We had the Targaryens. We had dragons. Bloody dragons. I tell you, we had dragons. I loved it. Big. Welcome back to Big Time. Ladies and gentlemen, it's here. The prequel to Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, debuted this week, so you know I'm ready to check it out. So what's cool about this time, we're going to be focusing on the Targaryens, which between you and me, this has the potential to be super, super epic, and I am ready for it. Even though the ending of Game of Thrones kind of left most of us with a bad taste in our mouth, there was a lot of disappointment, a lot of complaints. You know the story, but I think diehard fans, we're willing to stick around. We're willing to see what happens here. It's a prequel, so it's going to set the stage for future events. So there's a lot of stuff to unpack. And I think the creators understand that as diehard Game of Thrones fans, we want more. Hey, if you're brand new to the channel, stick around because I'll be doing weekly reactions, reviews to House of the Dragon, but it doesn't end there. I do all things nerdy pop culture here at Big Time, so there's a lot of things that are going to be happening over the next several months. We have a lot of TV shows, there are a lot of movies coming out. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about, so stick around. I'm sure you'll enjoy the ride with the rest of us. So, all right, guys, I know you're ready. You know I'm ready, so let's get into this.
As the first century of the Targaryen dynasty came to a close, the health of the old king, Jaehaerys, was failing. In those days, House Targaryen stood at the height of its strength, with 10 adult dragons under its yoke. No power in the world could stand against it. King Jaehaerys reigned over nearly 60 years of peace and
I'm getting the vibes.
But tragedy had claimed both his sons, leaving his succession in doubt. So, in the year over his succession, for he knew the cold truth, the only thing that could tear down the House of the Dragon was itself.
Oh boy. Yeah, this is gonna be good, guys. Oh, I love that. $172. Wow, long time. Woo-hoo-hoo. Already. That's a nice shot. Wow. That dragon looks sweet. Damn. Shit. Damn. These dudes not messing around. Whew.
It was an unprecedented roundup of criminals of every ilk. Your brother made a public show of it.
Any further performances like last night's will be answered.
Understood, Your Grace.
No, he didn't. He's like, whatever. That is some sweet armor he's wearing. Woo! Ooh. Damn. That had to hurt. Shit. Yes.
These nights are as green as summer grass. None have known real war. Their lord sent them to the tourney field with fists full of steel and balls full of seed. And we expect them to act with honor and grace. It's a marvel that war didn't break out at first blood.
Ooh. Yeah.
For the father to make an impossible choice.
Well, speak it.
To sacrifice one or to lose them both. There is a chance that we can save the child. A technique is taught at the Citadel which involves cutting directly into the wound to free the infant. But the resulting blood loss...
7 hours, Mellows.
Gotta make that call.
You can save the child.
We must either act now or leave it with the gods.
Sacristan Cole will now tilt again.
I love you.
Oh, man.
What's happening?
No, it's all right.
What's happening? No, serious?
She doesn't know.
How will they be?
It's all right.
Serious, please. No, I'm scared. Nothing.
Don't be scared.
What's happening?
Don't be scared. They're going to break the paper.
No.
It's all right. Please. They're going to break the paper.
Oh, no, no, no.
I'm making the first incision. Please hold it still.
Jeez.
Don't be scared.
Ooh. Oh, damn. He got smacked down.
Sword! Prince Stephen Targaryen wishes to continue in a contest of arms.
Oh.
Lotolie que benoche kerim videntos pentas.
Que puedo avsir. Ajudu to periotolet, Johran lies.
Cresitori que son.
Wow. He lost both.
Dracarys!
Wow, that looks so cool.
The heir for a day. Did you say it?
Woo!
Aegon called his dream the Song of Ice and Fire. This secret, it's been passed from king to heir since Aegon's time. Now you must promise to carry it and protect it. Promise me this, Rhaenyra. Promise me.
King of the Andals and the Rhoynar and the First Men, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms,
Wow.
and Protector of the Realm, do hereby name Rhaenyra Targaryen, Princess of Dragonstone, and heir to the Iron Throne.
They've done it again. The feeling's back. It feels like I'm watching the first episode, first season of Game of Thrones back in the day. I am locked in. Wow. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about it. Okay, I bloody loved it, folks. I loved it. We had the Targaryens. We had dragons. Bloody dragons. I tell you, we had dragons. I loved it. There was a bloody massacre. It was fantastic. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Incredible. I can't wait to see more. Okay, so that was Big Time Targaryen. He was a little excited about what we just saw. I don't blame him, but he was a little too much for me, a little too over the top. So I'm going to take over from here to give my opinions on what we just witnessed after the first episode. So I have a list of things I want to talk about, to address about this episode. So I'll have like a top 10 things I want to talk about. All right, guys, I'm just going to jump right into it. But before I do, I got to say here, spoiler warnings ahead. From here on out, nothing but spoilers. So if you haven't seen the episode yet, pause it here, go watch it, and then come back. If you have seen the episode, let's do it. Let's get into it. So obviously, I'm going to go down my list of things I thought about while watching the episode. First, out the gate, the dragons. Like Big Time mentioned earlier, the dragons, the bloody dragons. Man, it was so good to see that so early in the episode. Obviously, with the title of the show, and what this story is going to be about. The dragons are going to be a focal point for this show, and I love it. Like I'm sure all of you do. The CGI looked amazing. They looked lifelike. It was so cool to see so different varieties of dragons this time. Game of Thrones, there were 3 that we were aware of, but this one, there's going to be, I can't remember what, I think I heard like 10 or 15 or something like that. Let me know in the comment if I got that wrong. Again, I do blind reactions here. I try to minimize my exposure to all of the stuff that gets thrown out on the internet. I like to go in blind. So I don't know much about this. So I've heard that 10 or 15 is the number, but that's going to be later on when we get past that. But it was so nice to see them so early. Like 5 minutes in, we're watching dragons flying, which is just, I love it. I love that. We got to see the dragon pit from back then, which was awesome. Just seeing it in its full glory like that, man, that was so nice to see. Seeing the dragons flying around, man, I can't wait to see more about that. Obviously, I love the dragon aspect of the show, and we're going to get a lot of that this time around. So I'm super stoked about that. And then, not only did we get to see the dragons, a good call out back to Game of Thrones, we also got to see the throne, the infamous throne. It was so awesome. This time around, though, it evolved. So in the Game of Thrones, we had a standard version of the Iron Throne. This time, though, man, they had swords laid out everywhere in that room. You walk into the room, your eyes are immediately drawn there. Like, there's nothing else that catches your attention in the room. Man, it looked so awesome to see it in its full glory. So I haven't read these books. Don't hate me for that. But I assume they're going to start chipping away at the throne for some reason. I guess they're going to start chipping away some of the iron to use for war. Or maybe they just made the call this time to make it look majestic or epic. I don't know. I'm curious. So we'll see as the show goes on. If you know, leave a comment for me telling exactly why it looks different this time. I assume there's a reason. I know the writer, excuse me, the writers, they don't do things just for no reason. There's always reasons in everything happening on this show. So I'm definitely curious about that. But it was such a good sight to see that throne in all of its glory. Those sharp swords just adorning the stairs. Man, it was great. Great. Whoever is sitting in that throne, you are the man or woman. You're just it, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Okay, and then King Viserys, man, I gotta say, I feel sorry for the guy. I know he's not the best king. He's not the best person. Who is? He's kind of a quote unquote weak king. But man, you gotta feel for the guy when he has to make the decision to save his wife or the child. Which do you save? That's just, I mean, putting yourself in his shoes like that, that's such a horrible decision for someone to make. But they put the icing on the cake with this guy by losing both. He lost both of them. So he tried to save the child, which I think any man would do given that choice, but he made the decision and lost both, which is just horrible. Not only is he dealing with that, he's dealing with that sickness. He's got that boil on his back. There's a sickness happening there. I'm sure that's going to resurface later on. He's got the issue with his brother, who's just an ass. Like, that's stress. And then he's got the issue with his daughter. There's a lot of stuff happening with this. And then his desire for a son. And yeah, it's just a snowball of just pure crap for this guy. And you can't help but feel for the guy. I mean, maybe later on I won't feel that way. He may do something that's just completely crazy, and I stop feeling that way. But for now, in this episode, I definitely feel for the guy making that decision, losing his family like that, losing his brother, and the one child that he overlooked, and he admitted it was his daughter, and he finally embraces her. I guess because he didn't really have any other options, but I think he made the best decision to choose her as his successor. Okay, one of the things I noticed at the King's table was that guy, Otto. Is it Otto Hightower? I think that's his name. There's something about that guy. I mean, this could prove to be wrong later on, but in this episode, I feel like this guy might be the snake in the King's court. He's doing some shady stuff in the background. Mark my word, that's going to come back to haunt either Viserys or Rhaena. One of the two. It's gonna affect him. I could be totally off on that, but I have a feeling that guy, he's going to be the snake in the show, other than the obvious one. I mean, his brother Daemon we all know what he represents, what he is. He's a nasty ass. He's just a mean, merciless, insane dude, but he's like straight up about it. This Otto guy, on the other hand, is more of a background type of guy. Like, you don't know what he's thinking, what he's plotting, which could be even worse than the person that's right in front of you. So it'll be interesting. I don't know if he's going to prove me wrong and become like one of the most virtuous people in the show. I don't think he is. I think he's going to be a problem as well. So I can't wait to see that one. Okay, and then we've got Lord Corlys Velaryon. I think I got his name right. I hope I did. I'll put it up on the graphic if I got it wrong. He gives that presence of being a badass, which I think that character is focused on. I think he's going to be a major key player later on because he seemed to be the only one with a sensible head in the King's court as far as giving advice and what they should do. So I'm very interested to check him out, and as well as his wife, the Queen Who Never Was. I think that was the name. Man, I'm very interested to learn more about he and her, mainly about her because she was passed over twice. I think they mentioned what's her history? I want to learn more about her. Again, I haven't read these books, so I'm a clean slate with all of this. So I want to learn more about her, learn more about him. How did they meet? More about their children. That story right there, there's a lot to unpack in that capsule there, a lot. And I can't wait until they do it. I hope they do. And I hope it's like an organic, logical way they unfold that story, and it's not forced. That's the other thing I can't stand that they do these days is they force things just for no reason. But I think this one's going to be more organic. So I'm definitely interested to learn more about those two. And man, I got to say, my brother had some nice looking dreads. Those nice white dreads, man, that's a badass look. I really like the way he looked there. And I'm super excited to see where we go with that character, both of those characters, that whole family. I want to learn more about them. Then we've got a side quest type of character, Sir Christian Cole, I think is his name. Again, I'll throw that graphic up when I do this in post, but I think he's going to be a major contributor later on. They introduced him as sort of a mid-tier, lower-tier character, but he did defeat Daemon in that jousting. So that's significant. That is very significant. I think that character is going to end up being someone major later on. So again, all of these plot lines they're planting in the first episode is just amazing. I love that. And then, of course, Rhaenyra Targaryen. I love the look, the way she operates. I mean, we got a flash of the Targaryen in the Game of Thrones, but seeing this back history of the whole family, seeing how she gets power and she rises, I can't wait to see that. I think they're going to do like a time skip or something. So right now we're focused on the younger version. So it'll be interesting to see how she adapts to becoming queen. Because, you know, she had no care in the world. She was all about flying on dragons, hanging out with a girl. But now she's got responsibility at a very young age. So how is she going to deal with all of that? I'm very curious to see how she handles it. Obviously, she handles it well because the story leads into her later on, which means that she held that power for a while. So that's going to be great to see. And you know, the people in that land, especially the men, are not going to enjoy that at all, because that's always been like a male-driven thing. And to have a woman put in that position, I'm sure that's going to make a lot of those guys hate life, but they'll get over it because she is obviously the better choice to be on the throne than Daemon. Much better choice. And speaking of Prince Daemon, that dude, man. So we got the first introduction we get to this guy. She walks into the throne room, the infamous throne, and this dude is sitting on the throne. I mean, he thought he was going to be the heir apparent. He should have been, but the fact that he's sitting on that throne, that's just something. That character is hilarious. He's nasty. He's a menace to society, like straight up, for real. He's a menace. And that scene where he just ravages through the town, he's just decimating people. Like, that was brutal. So he's a crazy dude, which would not be a good fit for the throne at all. So I'm so glad to see that he decided not to make him the heir and make his daughter the heir instead. Much better choice. But I think Daemon is going to be a major, major player in the episodes to come. I think he's going to be if not the bad guy, one of the bad guys, but I could be wrong about that. I mean, he could start off on the bad foot, and then something happens and he turns back to the good side to help her. Who knows? Or she and he could end up being the main confrontation of the show, which would be just insane. Like an inner battle within the house. Whew. That's going to be, man. But then, I think about it, there is a civil war within this show. I think it's called the Dance of the Dragons, I think, what I've heard. And that's supposed to be the big battle for the show. Could it be that there's going to be two Targaryens battling? Is that going to be the battle? Man, that would be wild. I don't know. I have a feeling that something's gonna change with that character. I really do. I don't know why. Just a gut feeling. Again, I could be totally off with that thought, but I just have a feeling that he's gonna make a turn somehow, some way. I don't know if it's because of his feelings for her. She's gonna cause him to rethink his actions. I don't know, but I think something's gonna happen. I don't think he's gonna be the ultimate bad guy in the show, but I'll replay this quote later on. If he does turn out to be the ultimate bad guy, I'll play that for sure. But man, I think he's going to be a nasty character, and this civil war is going to be epic. So I think we got a good idea of the CGI in this episode, the staging. They've invested a lot more this time around. So I think the battles in this show are going to be insane. I can't wait to see it. I think they're going to pump in so much money into this show that it's going to be incredible to watch. And I cannot wait till those battles start. And I have a feeling they probably use this episode to sort of set the stage, set the tone with the characters, introduce the key players, give us bits and pieces of future storylines that are going to impact the overall show. They sort of set us out there, and they sprinkled in a little bit of action here and there, but for the most part, this was sort of a subdued intro. Let's introduce you to our world, show you who's important, show you where we're headed, and then later on, I think they're going to knock our heads off with some insane action, and I can't wait. So I think as an overall rating, I've got to give this one, I'm a little torn because, it was a little slow in parts, but that was expected. It's the first episode. The writing was on point. The acting was on point. The sets were on point. The CGI was on point. So I got to give this I'm teetering between a 6.5 to a 7. for my ratings. You know, I'm not generous with my scores on this channel. I definitely give my honest opinion about what I think, and I think that's where it's fitting for me, is between a 6 and a 7 score for me. And I mean, that's, in my book, that's a pretty decent score for the intro, but I think it's only up from here. They've given us a baseline, so now we're ready to step up, and I don't think they're going to waste much time. I really don't. I think they're going to hit the gas pedal, and we're going to start burning through this stuff. I just hope we don't get disappointed like we were with Game of Thrones. That thing was going so strong, and then all of a sudden it just collapsed. I hope we don't see the same thing here. I hope they've learned, applied those lessons to this show, and I hope it at least sustains in intensity for a long time. Of course, we're going to have some highs and lows along the way, but I just hope the bottom doesn't fall out and it fizzles like the Game of Thrones show did. I think this one's going to be a little bit different, though. At least I hope. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap things up here. So my score again, I'm going to go with a 6.5. I'm teetering between 6.5 to 7, so I'll give it a 6.5. We're going to do better from here. Again, I'll be doing these reaction reviews every week that the show's on. There's so many more other shows I'm going to be focusing on. I'm going to be pretty busy. Of course, Star Wars is just a high point on my channel. Again, anything nerdy, I'm going to take a look at, react, review, give you honest reaction reviews. I don't do any of that crap as far as like faking it out or boosting my scores. I'm straight up honest with you. I'm a fan like you guys are, so I'm going to be straight up with all of my reviews and reactions. So stay tuned, stick around. Got a lot more to come. We've got House of Dragon. We've got Andor coming up. We've got Bad Batch Season 2 coming up. There's a lot of stuff coming. We got movies to check out. There's a lot of stuff, guys, and I'm so excited. I'm excited you're here. I'm excited to talk about it. And then, of course, I'm going to bring back some characters in. I think the big man's going to come back again. Big Time Targaryen, I think he's going to come back, make another appearance. I may let him give feedback next time. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Should I kick the guy out? Should I bring him back? Let me know. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Well, anyway, I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time on Big Time.
Big